Hello again. Something very odd has happened in the last week or two, and that is that ordinary people have apparently demonstrated greater powers to predict the course of an epidemic than those who have spent many years studying the subject. This is, when you think about it, more than a little strange. If a number of professional astronomers have been on television explaining about an eclipse of the sun which was due to occur, it would have been very peculiar if random people in the street managed to make more accurate predictions about the likely timing and course of the event than men and women who had spent the whole of their adult lives studying astronomy. Or imagine if a nuclear reactor were damaged and out of control and top experts were trying to assess what might happen next. Wouldn't you be a little taken aback if a roving television reporter interviewing passers-by in the street found that they had a better understanding of nuclear reactors than the physicists and engineers? Something very similar to these scenarios has been seen over the last week. The experts in the British government's Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, or SAGE, were predicting disastrous consequences from the new Omicron variant of COVID, with one saying that there might be 6,000 deaths a day. That's 3 times as many as during the worst wave of COVID in January this year, when just over 1,800 people died in a single day with the disease. In fact, the current death rate doesn't seem to have risen at all so far, and at the moment it's flatlining. Another of the experts, Dr. Jenny Harris, said that this was the most dangerous situation of the whole epidemic. All the experts were urging the Prime Minister to order another lockdown or other emergency measures in order to save the NHS. People in the street, though, were having none of this. Public opinion polls taken just before Christmas suggested that over half the population would disobey any strict new regulations. Everybody, other than the experts, seemed to have made their own predictions for the severity of the supposed crisis facing the country, and these were very different from the scenarios which the experts were producing. Most people thought that Omicron would be much milder, less likely to result in hospitalisation, and with a lower death rate than previous variants. It's too early to be absolutely certain, but this seems to be the medical consensus now that there are enough British data to work with. Some scientists who do not work for the government are actually saying that the predictions produced for the government were mischievous and obviously designed to be exaggerations. How true that is anybody's guess. All this is very odd. How can it be that a week or so ago I made a more accurate estimation of the likely course of infection from the new variant than the government's own scientists? After all, I know very little about the subject, about as much as any other ordinary passer-by in the street. What happened? One possibility would be that this was an innocent and wholly accidental miscalculation by the men and women in SAGE. They simply got the figures wrong, and this threw all their work out of kilter. Another would be that the government thrives on bad news, and that by addressing the nation and bringing in the so-called Plan B, the Prime Minister thought it would cause people to forget what a shocking mess he had made of things over the last 2 years. The by-election result from North Shropshire rather suggests that if that was indeed the strategy, then it hasn't paid off. I can't personally remember anything like this happening before, when the ordinary person seemed actually to have a better grasp of the situation than all the experts in the field.